Now, back to the Holy Land. Taybeh is the only remaining town in the Holy Land where the population is 100% Christian. I was there in 2010 and was very impressed by the entrepreneurship of the villagers. Only 1,400 people live in Taybeh, yet the town is home to the first microbrewery in the whole Middle East. Taybeh is also known for its olive trees and their ceramic peace lamps, which are distributed every year around the world. The oil lamps are in the shape of a dove, being a symbol of peace. People are asked to purchase a lamp and light it in order to pray for peace. Peace in their own homes, but also peace in the land where Jesus lived.
The project of Lamp of Peace, when was established with our father Ra'id Abu Sahriya, who was a parish priest of Taybeh, established to belong the people with the land, to belong the people with the church, to belong the people with the society. So they give a lot of opportunities and careers and job creation opportunities to have jobs in Taybeh, not to go out of Taybeh, to stay in Taybeh and to live in Taybeh and to work in Taybeh in the same place that we are live, we are work and we are belong.
Taybeh is the ancient town of Ephraim, mentioned in the Old Testament and in John 11:54, where Jesus went after the resurrection of Lazarus.
The income of the people of Taybeh, it's farmers and the income from the olive tree, the olive oil. And they kicked the olive oil and also distributed and sell it for the people.
Only 1,400 people live in Taybeh, but there are some 16,000 people from Taybeh who live around the world. Immigration is a big concern. Still, those who remain, despite belonging to three churches, the Greek Orthodox, Greek Catholic, and Roman Catholic, form a close community.
We feast Christmas together, we feast Easter together, we receive the Holy Fire during Holy Saturday, and we make Palm Sunday procession together, finishing in this holy place, which is the Church of St. George, called in Arabic Al-Khadr, the green. This is a Byzantine church built in the 6th century, in the late 5th century, beginning of the 6th century.
We need job creation opportunities, we need housing projects for Taybeh, and also we need the people that to put in their mentality, we are from the land of Jesus.
We have olive trees. We have about 7,500 dunam. The dunam is 1,000 meters square, planted in olive trees. That means that we have the finest oil in the West Bank. So why, according to the lab, our oil is less than 1% of acidity. So why we have the extra virgin oil exported to 15 countries around the world, beginning from Japan to the United States. And this is the only project to have income to live in this area, in this country.
We have to encourage the people, and the young people especially, to have the sense of belonging. The sense of belonging we work with the people to put in their hearts that we are in the land of Jesus. We need the projects to encourage the people to stay. The projects, something like projects of belonging, projects of belong to the land, project to belong the atmosphere of Taybeh. We have to find some project that we can support the people to stay in the land of Taybeh and the land of Jesus here in Taybeh.
One of these projects is the Peace Lamp Initiative, which makes use of their abundant olive oil. Purchasing one not only supports the economy of the town, but it ignites the flame of peace with justice for the people of Taybeh.
The challenges that Christians in the Middle East face, but also the hope they bring.
We just learned a little bit about this wonderful town, the town of Taybeh. Carl, how common is what's happening in Taybeh with what's happening in other places, in other towns that have Christians in the West Bank or in East Jerusalem?
Well, it is sad to say that, Deacon Pedro, that this story is happening all over the land. Wherever you are in the Palestinian territories, there are large segments of land called sea land. That comes from the Oslo Accord, and it's too complicated to explain here the whole historical component, but it's under the control of Israel, even though it is belonging clearly, according to international law and the UN resolutions, to the Palestinians. And so for the last several decades, the Israeli government and the Israeli military is basically creating those colonies, those residential places for Israeli citizens to live in. And the way they're doing it is they're basically develop watchtowers around the towns. Now when you go to Taybeh, you're starting to see those towers. Then second, you have parallel roads. So roads that are only used by the military. Those are protected with wire fence. And then from there, suddenly you see infrastructure being built in those zones. Right. Like electricity, sewage system, roads, other roads. And then you start to see colonies, residential condos being built. And, and suddenly you end up with a large segment of population that are there. And this is happening right now in Taybeh. Slowly, every year we see changes around Taybeh.
I think
and so, of course, the Israel policy is to protect its residents. So they also include a big wall, and that segregate the Palestinian village from the new colony that's being built. And also you will see often a checkpoint. So people in Taybeh suddenly might, in the near future, end up like many other places, like in Bethlehem, like we talked a bit earlier, that will be having difficulty to even visit their neighbor Palestinian towns, their families, and etc. But more so, Taybeh, being a very imaginative place, is also wants to export its produce, like its oil, really renowned for its olive oil. And so what we see is, will they have this opportunity to sell their product abroad? Will they have the opportunity to receive pilgrim? I know myself, for the last 7 years, I've taken pilgrim to that village.
Right.
Will
Yes,
it be easy?
Yeah.
And, I'll conclude with this, Deacon Pedro. There's over 250 of those colonies with about 600,000 people that live on Palestinian land like this. And that makes it so difficult for everybody, but in particular to Christians that are just trying to survive and do their good work. As we've heard from Tanya and Joseph earlier, social work that is crucial for the region.
Yeah, so Joseph, you talked about the mobility challenges. So even those roads inside the West Bank, there might be roads that you can drive in, but you cannot drive in some of the other roads that are reserved for the people who live in those colonies or those settlements, as they're called. What are some other challenges that maybe having these settlements or colonies near Taybeh would provide? Does it impact on the resources that Taybeh has in terms of, let's say, water, access to water, for example?
It's a fight over lands, and that's why we're witnessing during these days a fierce attempt to grab as much land as possible from the Palestinian territories, which Carl indicated as Area C, which is almost 68% of what should be the Palestinian state.
Right.
And so this means that the Palestinians have no access to these lands. They cannot build, they cannot expand. That's why we're having very dense and highly populated major cities like Ramallah, Bethlehem, and towns like Jifna, Taybeh, and other Palestinian villages. People are building more and more on the expense of agricultural land. Because the Palestinians are not allowed to expand beyond the borders of Area A and B, which form the main Palestinian controlled areas.